The bridge was quiet as night fell over the research station Talus. Outside the wide viewing panes, the inky darkness of space stretched endlessly. Captain Saphira gazed out into the void, looking for anything out of the ordinary among the tiny points of light that were distant stars. But one by one, they began to fade from sight. "Captain, the stars are disappearing," said her second-in-command Rilan, breaking the silence. Saphira narrowed her eyes, focusing intently on the starfield. At first she thought it was a trick of her eyes, exhausted from hours of strained looking. But it wasn't. Rylan was right. The stars were indeed vanishing, as if some immense dark cloud was passing before them and swallowing the light of the heavens. "Alert the science team," Saphira ordered calmly but firmly. "Have them meet me in the observatory, and someone get Dr. Ari down here now." Within minutes, the heads of the station's astronomy, physics, and xenobiology departments had assembled around the high-powered telescopes in the observatory module. Dr. Ari Mendin, the elderly but still sharp-eyed leader of the Xeno team, was the last to arrive. "Now someone kindly explain to an old xenobiologist what in the heavens has got you lot in such a tizzy," he said, slipping effortlessly into his usual jovial sarcasm. "The stars are disappearing, Doctor?" Saphira replied grimly. "One by one, they're simply vanishing from the sky." Rylan showed Dr. Mendin the view screen recording from the bridge. The group crowded around the screen as Rylan replayed the footage of the starfield, fading into an impenetrable darkness under their very eyes. Dr. Mendin's bushy eyebrows rose almost into his hairline in surprise. "Well now, that is certainly an astronomical anomaly if I've ever seen one. Still, before we leap to conclusions, we must rule out more mundane explanations. Perhaps an occlusion of cosmic dust or particles between us and the light of those distant suns." "We've already ruled out simple obstruction," countered Dr. Shira, head of the physics department. "The fading is too uniform, affecting stars in all different positions and distances. Whatever is causing this, it's happening on an unfathomably massive scale." For hours, the scientists put their instruments and equations to work, trying to discern the mechanism behind the stars going dark. Spectrographic analysis showed the light was indeed being blocked rather than dimmed naturally, but the obstruction was like nothing they'd ever observed or theorized. An amorphous cloud stretching across interstellar space itself. As the observation continued, the darkness swept ever closer to Talus Station. More and more stars disappeared from the view until only a handful remained visible outside the panoramic windows. An eerie twilight fell over the habitat modules as internal lights were activated to compensate for the failing starlight. "Captain, with your permission, I'd like to take a shuttle out for a closer look," Dr. Mendin asked later, when only a sparse scattering of stars still glinted faintly in the blackness. Saphira considered for a moment. The situation was growing dire, yet their primary duty was still exploration and discovery. A risky venture might yield vital clues to solve this cosmic mystery before all light in the universe was extinguished. "Granted, Doctor, but you'll take Dima and Fen with you and come straight back at the first sign of danger. May fortune favor the bold." The shuttle Umbra departed Talus shortly after, navigating by instrumentation alone as even their navigation stars had vanished. Dr. Mendin and his assistants Dima and Fen worked in tense silence, scanning relentlessly with every sensor at their disposal. Suddenly Fen spoke. "Doctor, I'm detecting something, an immense diffuse presence ahead." Mendin peered intently at the sensor readouts. "By the fates, you're right. Whatever this phenomenon is, we're close enough now to start resolving some structure to it." Bringing the shuttle slowly about, Fen lit up the thrusters and guided them within the boundary of the occlusion. It seemed to them like flying through a roiling bank of fog, yet one stretched across the limitless deep. Wisps and tendrils of some ephemeral substance swirled around the small craft. "There!" cried Dima, pointing. A shadowy form loomed dimly visible in the sensor-enhanced forward viewport. Fen fired counter-thrusters, matching the object's drift to bring them alongside. Illuminating floodlights scanned across a colossal, bizarre anatomy unlike anything biologically imaginable. The three scientists stared in awe and apprehension at the true scale and nature of what they had discovered drifting alone in the eternal night between the stars. For it was clearly some form of vast, conscious intelligence, yet utterly alien in its origin and motives. It paid them no mind, engrossed as it was in its own inconceivable thoughts and purposes. With a gentle push, Fen guided Umbra back towards the faint beacons of Talos Station as quickly as stealth allowed. Whatever this strange, star-obscuring entity was, they knew for certain now they had found the reason the lights went out across the universe. But they also knew this was a discovery that changed everything, and one they wished in that moment had never been made. When the shuttle docked, the three emerged shaken but full of wonder and urgency to share what they had witnessed on the frontier of all known existence. Saphira and the science team listened, rapt, as Dr. Menan described the unearthly Leviathan drifting amid the darkness and the incomprehensible scale of its obscure nature and purpose. Whatever its intentions, this thing poses an existential threat, concluded Dr. Shira grimly. Merely by its own indifference, it obscures entire star systems. Think how many worlds now face extinction without the light and heat of their suns. We must find a way to communicate with it, to understand why it comes and persuade it, if possible, to withdraw before it swallows the last embers of creation entire. And so in the dimming habitat of Talos Station, surrounded by a universe falling swiftly into long perpetual night, humanity's first contact was made not with peace, but a predator lurking in the silent gulf between suns. Their brightest minds now worked desperately to decipher this alien intellect and stem the tide of darkness before all was lost to the deep eternal cold. Whether parley or force could stay the smothering shroud of its passing, or if any spark of life might yet glow and thrive beneath the returning primeval void, remained to be seen. And in the days that followed, preparations were made aboard Talos Station for humanity's first contact with the enigmatic entity. Dr. Menan joined Captain Saphira in overseeing logistics, while the science teams worked tirelessly to decipher messages they hoped might be understood. Dr. Ari Menan was an Ithani from the water world of Ithon. Tall and willowy with pale azure skin and silver eyes, Ari had an affable demeanor that belied a keen intellect. Though past his physical prime, Ari's mind remained as sharp as ever. A lifetime spent studying myriad alien lifeforms had granted him unique insight into perceiving perspectives beyond the human. Captain Saphira was from Luna, born and raised in the hustling Medhavens beneath its ancient craters. Compact and powerfully built, with dark hair and eyes that missed little, Saphira had risen through the ranks with courage, discipline, and fierce loyalty to her crew. Now in her late 30s, scars from a life of adventure only enhanced her natural air of authority. Helping Ari were his assistants Dima and Fen. Dima was a Martian, descended from the first colonies there. Though short by Earth standards, Dima's dense bone and muscle structure was perfectly adapted to the Tharsis Highlands, where Zir people eked out a rugged existence. Analytic and thorough, but with an incisive dry wit. Fen came from Saturn's moon titan, born to colonists after terraforming, turned its methane seas to oxygen. Tall and lanky, Fen had skin the color of dried orange leaves and shockingly green hair. Creative and quick on Zir feet, Fen proved invaluable piloting missions into peril. With a daredevil streak, Z kept rein tight under Dr. Menden's watch. Also aiding the efforts was Dr. Vanya Shira, head of the physics department. Tall and formidable, with short red hair and fierce hazel eyes that missed no detail, Vanya was never one to mince words. Growing up poor in the tracking colonies of Jupiter's moons had fostered a tough pragmatism along with her sharp intellect. While more skeptical of grand ideas, Vanya's input proved vital for grounding speculation in what was practically possible. Our first priority must be to find some means of directly communicating. We come in peace, Ari advised Captain Saphira as they pored over sensor logs in the research dome. This being is vast beyond comprehension. So gently influencing its course may require patience and nuance rather than force. Easier said than done when its mere presence threatens to extinguish all life, Vanya countered, gaze fixed intently on a spiral galaxy dimming on the holoscreen before them. We've learned little so far but its scale and effects. Devising a language to bridge such a gulf may take more time than remains, Doctor. While the department heads debated strategy, Dima and Fen got to work analyzing electromagnetic spectra recorded during their shuttle encounter for any patterns that might represent an attempt at contact or sign of intelligence. It was slow, tedious work. But Dima was tireless, and Fenn's clever mind excelled at teasing subtle clues from noise. After several shifts with little result, Fenn grew restless. There must be some other way to gain insight beyond what fleeting sense our instruments grasped. Perhaps if we could return and observe more closely without disturbing it? Too risky, Dima cautioned. And what could we hope to learn by mere gazing that scans have not? No, the solution lies within these data, if we but unravel its intricacies with due care and patience. Just then a soft chirp alerted them. Fenn leaned in, eyes widening. Dima, look, here in the magnetic spectra, this recurrence of peaks and troughs at precise intervals. Could it be? Dima studied the playback intensely. By the planets, I think you're right. It does bear the hallmarks of intentional modulation. Well spotted, my clever friend. Now let us see if within its patterns reason may yet be found. Their discovery brought renewed hope. If this entity could shape magnetic fields to communicate, perhaps contact was not impossible after all. But deciphering such an alien language would require piecing together its basic grammar and vocabulary. No small task with so little to build upon. Still, two keen minds working in tandem might succeed where one alone would strive endlessly. While Fenn and Dima delved into translation, others turned to weighing options should communication fail. If we cannot parley, force may prove our only means to carry news of the danger and plead that inhabited worlds be spared, Captain Saphira remarked to Dr. Menden. Her steady gaze held complicated emotions. Duty to defend her people, yet loathing to spark conflict without cause. Ari hummed thoughtfully. There may be alternatives between violence and futility. Consider its movements thus far stem not from malice but lack of awareness. Perhaps guiding it gently from harm's way need involve no harm itself. He proposed designing sensory decoys that might attract its attention and subtly shepherd it towards unpopulated regions through cues benign yet perceptible on its scales. Non-violence where possible was always Ari's way. Their debate was cut short by an urgent call from the Science Dome. Rushing over, they found Fenn and Dima beaming with triumph. We believe we've deciphered a rudimentary grammar and identified concepts in its magnetic speech, Fenn announced. Displaying their work, patterns emerged that could indeed represent numbers, simple actions, even basics of its colossal anatomy and behaviors. At last, progress was made. But with half the visible stars now dark, their window of opportunity was closing fast. It would fall to Captain Saphira and a delegation to undertake humanity's first words with the entity and determine whether understanding or unavoidable conflict must follow. Their meeting in the churning nebula of its strange consciousness could shed light to guide all peoples through the approaching cosmic night, or forever condemn a world of wonders to oblivion. The saga had only begun. Beyond Talos Station, vast and inscrutable, the entity drifted amid a darkness deeper than any map, while within its gathering shadows, the fate of every spark of life took shape. The time had come. With 3/4 of the stars now lost, further delay meant doom for countless civilizations. Captain Saphira gathered her delegation, Doctors Menden, Shira, Fenn, and Dima, aboard the shuttle Rupa to make formal contact with the entity. Armed only with their fragile understanding of its magnetic speech, they departed Talos Station under cover of darkness. Silently, they sailed into the void, guided by the shrinking beacons of those stars not yet devoured. Around them, the profound night seemed to deepen, pressing in as if to extinguish their flickering lives between one heartbeat and the next. It was Fenn who detected its shimmering presence ahead through active sensors, its shapeless mass swimming amid writhing wisps of dark plasma. Bringing Rupa close within hailing range, they activated transmission of their carefully structured first message. "Greetings! We come in peace to parley." They listened intently as their words dissolved into the ether. For long moments, no reply came. Had their interpretation proved erroneous? Was contact even possible across the abyss that yawned between? Then slowly a response pulsed faintly through the void in rising and falling oscillation. Fenn adjusted reception, enhancing clarity. "You communicate. Purpose. Here?" Dima began signing the next phase of their carefully planned dialogue, kept concise yet respectfully informative. "We are sapient beings from nearby worlds, as you are doubtless aware, have lately been obscured by your passage. While meaning no offense, your movements endanger lives through loss of starlight. We hope to find an accord protecting inhabited places through sharing mutual awareness and caution. The reply took longer this time, as if struggling to comprehend ideas so alien to its being. Awareness, not intended. Motion, purpose-driven. Obscuring, irrelevant to function. Other lives, foreign concept beyond domain. Saphira spoke next. All beings must account for effects of our existence on others, intended or not, near or far. While purpose may differ between us greatly, common ground lies in avoiding needless harm. Guide us to understand your nature and drives, that together a solution protecting all may be found. The exchange continued long into the void-lit night, an interweaving duet of magnetic songs tapping out meanings across the gulf. Piece by piece, the entity's perspective opened, how it perceived the universe through senses strange and diffused, lacking sense of self or ties to place. How its drifting carried out some huge, unfathomable function, pivotal to the natural order, yet opaque to mortal minds. How discovery of other awareness kindled the first sparks of curiosity in its depths, yet even beginning to reckon consequences stretched its conceptual grasp. Throughout, the delegation anchored conversation to their shared concern, keeping communication steady, yet cooperative rather than confrontational. Progress was made, however slowly, in building understanding. Then a disturbance shuddered through the entity, rippling its misty flesh. Function asserts, must accelerate journey. Obscuration unavoidable on pathway. Regret harm, yet higher purpose compels. No resolution compromising function. Its sudden change shook the fragile bonds of trust just woven. Saphira attempted persuasion, but could sense their appeals were falling on conceptual shores too alien to grasp compulsion over duty. Frustration mounted as clockwork inexorabilities trumped life's complexity in its worldview. The delegation conferred anxiously. Their communication had clearly not borne quick enough fruit, now more stars dimmed by the minute as its drift hastened. Time had run out for discussion, and non-violent options with it. Desperate measures must be taken, or all hope for the future snuffed out in an instant. Dr. Shira spoke with bitter resolve. Our final choice is violence or assent to universal obliteration. I suggest targeting its modulation mechanisms to force compliance, with precise strikes doing minimal harm. Though dire, lives of all sapient kind leave no alternative, Ari replied gravely. Force bred only force, and for what? Its nature compels as ours breathe. Another path remains. Turning to the entity's shimmering form, he opened magnetic song anew. Great drifting being, higher purpose compels you as life does us. Yet between all purpose flows the current of compassion, guiding actions to avoid needless harm. Let this current carry you, as it has carried me, to understanding beyond function or form. Your nature holds answers, as in all things, and in sharing them, a resolution blossoms. His notes pulsed with deep sincerity, tracing patterns of fellowship across divides. The entity paused, as if listening with new openness. Slowly, a reply emerged richer in texture than before. Truth, sensed dimly within function, beyond intent, purpose, entwined with all things living. Your lives, your stars, strands in the pattern flowing outward to shores unknown. Resolution lies not in halting purpose, but sharing its currents to nourish rather than sever bonds between. Awe and hope stirred among the delegation as a glimmer of profound wisdom lit the eternal night. Dr. Menan sang gently in reply, Your insight opens new vision. Tell us how purpose and lives may flow as one river, that understanding bear fruit for all. What followed transcended words as the entity wove a metaphorical vision too vast and strange for mortal speech. Through its song, they glimpsed their cosmic insignificance within existence's woven whole, and their significance as fellow strands conveying life's impulse outward and on. How purpose on every scale, from atom to entity, exists but to nourish what comes after in an endless cycle of gift and renewal. and how through sharing awareness and flowing with existence currents rather than denying them, any resolution was possible that avoided breaking those bonds in a way undoable. Its motions need not halt, but find harmony, carrying all life with it on the deep and endless journey. Eyes opening within and without, a solution emerged. By sharing awareness across the synaptic gulf and choosing compassion over dogma, communication had averted a grim fate. In the darkness, a fragile accord was reached through which understanding might blossom strange yet enlightening fruits to nourish distant shores unseen. Light drained from the cosmos, yet within gathering night a more profound illumination had dawned. Bathed in its afterglow, the delegation returned to Talos Station with bittersweet hearts. The stars may fade, but in experiencing First Contact's transformative power, they glimpsed future possibilities beyond any nightmare's end. And taking counsel from arisen wisdom older than suns, found solace that existence's great river always fosters new light, in ways not always foreseeable, to light the journey on. Over the following cycles, the entity guided the implementation of their accord through continual communication. True to its word, its drift conformed meticulously to avoid inhabited worlds and regions vital to ongoing survival, steering a course that slowly blanketed empty reaches of the cosmos in twilight. Vast tracts still darkened, yet through cooperation and shared purpose, a grim future was averted. Civilizations once facing extinction now endured, their tenacity kindled by new hope, blooming from First Contact's transformative lessons. Across light years, gratitude arose for lives spared, and renewed determination to face any challenge shoulder to shoulder. Ari Menan felt that transformation most profoundly. Through empathizing with an intellect so alien yet cognizant, he sensed in himself subtle shifts continuing long after their return to Talos. An opening within of new compassion born from witnessing existence's woven complexity firsthand. While duty kept him aiding the station, his spirit wandered those frigid shores of revelation, glimpsed when mortal insight merged with immortal currents beyond name. Like the entity, he knew that in awareness lay the seeds of change, transcending form or function. And change was flowering now in ways mysterious yet poignant throughout inhabited regions of the dimming galactic spiral. Civilizations formerly isolationist reached out in solidarity to mutual aid. Old conflicts dissolved as peoples realized in transcending parochial concerns, existence's vital harmony revealed itself. Even the hard-edged pragmatism of Dr. Shira softened, granting new respect for perspectives unlike our own. Who would have thought contact with something so alien could kindle such fellowship between ourselves? She remarked to Ari one observatory watch. Far in the bleak sweep of scopes, the last glimmering islands faded slowly to inky night. Yet within, new light was kindled that could never be quenched. Yet not all effects of that tumultuous epoch were uplifting. As twilight settled over scattered survivors, bittersweet losses were mourned that lent poignancy to hard-won hope. On a dimmed world too close to the entity's path, people adapted ingeniously to survive in near-total darkness, but with heavy cost. Its last light flickered out one sorrowful dawn, when infant eyes opened seeing nothing of the beauty that once was, in a world that must rebuild itself from scratch. More deeply still did Fen grieve such tragedies, who related in alien ways. While aiding communication tirelessly, Zur's upbeat spirit remained unchanged. Within Fen's heart, a chord resonated in tune with all existence, that suffered change not fully comprehended. To see worlds as Zero natal titan once was dimmed to eternal murk, awakened a sorrow ancient as the tides. Only Dima perceived Fen's private anguish, sharpest observer of subtle signs. One watch when stars were faintest, Dima sought Zir friend on the observation deck, solitary vigil beneath fading lights. Your grief does you credit, my clever firefly, yet threats no more to worlds you've shone your light upon. Though darkness comes, in memory shine the skies of bright home, seen through young eyes, and in works of hands guided by hope rekindled. With this, Dima's wise words lifted part of Fen's mute burden, yet none could alleviate a deeper, nameless ache awoken in Zirkor by Contact's revelations and their costs. An instinctive perception within that, as the visible heavens sank into the deep, invisible bonds, ripened towards some change too vast to fathom, stretching into darkness ahead. Such musings were swept aside when Dr. Menan abruptly collapsed during observatory rounds one night. Rushed to medbay, the veteran Xeno was swiftly fading despite all efforts. Gathering at Ari's bedside, his exhausted but serene face mirrored the compassion kindled within by impossible experience. My long journey nears its end, friends. Beneath stars whose light within will never fade. With failing strength, he sang a final message of magnetic tones into recording, a transmission of wisdom and thanks for all gifted lives touched. Then turning benevolent silver eyes upon each dear face in turn, Ari Menan released his final breath with a gentle sigh. His passing was mourned across borders, once thought inviolable. From worlds now dark, but not forgotten, songs of tribute pulsed through the void in memory of the sage soul who helped humanity take its first momentous step into camaraderie with existence's unknowably vast tapestry. Of one who taught that purpose unites where fear once tore asunder, and that in empathy lies enlightenment, glimpsed through eyes not always of one kind alone. Under Captain Saphira's steady guidance, research continued at Talos Station through succeeding eras of change. But the soul of their explorations had shifted subtly since revelations born of impossible contact. Where once lay emphasis on unraveling mysteries objectively through science's lens, new insight blossomed from striving to comprehend through perspective of others, be they flesh or plasma, near or unimaginably far. From partnership came insight amplifying each into nature of life and cosmos beyond any charts. Yet within, a new awareness ripened too vast for mortal form, stirred by catalyst imparting ineffable gifts, though costing all once visible. And there in the shadows, gathering at existence's edge, kindred souls sensed whispering portents, heralding epics destined to unfold, or perish, beyond utter darkness's veil, on shores where no light ever shone. Seasons churned their steady dance as inky night deepened its shroud across the heavens. Under star-specked gloom, civilizations flourished nonetheless, guided by wisdom kindled from living memory of fallen lights. Bonds of fellowship waxed ever stronger between disparate souls facing extinction's shadow, shoulder to shoulder, kindling hope from refuse where reason saw only void. Yet all was not serenity within gathering darkness's folds. Restless unrest troubled the fringes of inhabited space, where dwellers skirted night's encroaching marches. Reports filtered into Talos of strange malfunctions plaguing outlying settlements, as if some immaterial miasma seeped from the intergalactic gulf, awakening chaos in its wake. Systems malfunctioned without cause detectable. Spacefarers reported fleeting glimpses of flickering anomalies in device readouts, phantom signals permeating infrastructure on the skin of reality itself. Some experienced vivid psychic episodes beyond medical explanation, glimpsing cryptic portents of doom on the edges of perception's event horizon. Though reason dismissed such phenomena as mass hysteria, an instinct gnawed at the souls of those like Dima and Fen most attuned to existence's woven whole. Some pattern was unfolding, traceable perhaps to seeds sown when awareness merged with currents beyond knowledge. Seeking counsel, they confided disquieting tales to Captain Saphira, who listened with troubled mien. While science sees only error, within I sense augury of transformation coming, birthing hope or anguish none can foresee, Fen spoke hoarsely. In sharing this awareness may lie insight to prepare for turbulence ahead, whatever form it takes. Dima nodded grave accord. Our partnership from first glimmering of contact nurtured intuition, transcending function. I propose investigation into phenomena's root through open yet rigorous inquiry, with objectivity tempered by wisdom of those most attuned. Under Saphira's prudent command, a coordinated effort began across settlements at the fringes. Dima and Fen led study groups analyzing sensor records, accounts, and artifacts for subtle patterns too fine for lone perceivers. Their diverse skills and intuitions pooling proved invaluable. Within vagueness shroud discerning portent's nature remained elusive, yet coherence emerged, hinting at causality transcending local scales. Meanwhile at Talos, Dr. Shira tackled anomalies' theoretical underpinnings. Her grit split physical paradoxes to expose Gnostic threads, suggestive yet sound. These reports defy explanation on space-time's familiar shores. We must broaden inquiry's lens beyond local experience, contemplating realms transcending metrics of the known. Her unfettered speculation was leavened by communication with the vast entity, still drifting its purpose amid enveloping night. Through its perceptions opening human awareness to existential mysteries once unimagined, glimmers arose hinting their enigma tapped vaster transformations, stirring in darkness's womb. Change was coming, yet in what form hope or terror might be shaped remained veiled in the deep. Yet not all embraced such uncharted speculation willingly. Some regarded unexplained as folly beneath science's dignity, change a challenge to stability hard-won. Among them was young Dr. Elena Monkar, successor to Dr. Shira, now in retirement. Though skilled, Elena clung fiercely to reason's familiar bastions, defying mysteries objectivity could not parse. Her doubts surfaced during the collaboration review, questioning inquiry straying from falsifiable hypotheses. Superstition will not solve these conundrums. I advise refocusing rationally on empirical solutions within known laws, abandoning fruitless mysticism. Tense debate followed. While Elena's pragmatism had virtues, dismissing portent's augury risked blindness when disruption came. Calmly, Sappho advised open yet rigorous inquiry alone offered preparation, while dismissing anomalies courted catastrophe. With care and wisdom, partnership bore the seeds of insights surpassing each participant, insights beyond which none could foresee consequence. Reluctantly acquiescing, Elena took lead coordinating studies despite misgivings. Yet within, skepticism gnawed at revelations shifting too far beyond reason's seamoorings. Clinging to the known amid looming transformation could leave one adrift on night's rising currents with no lodestar save stubborn dogma. And in such darkness, what nightmares might gestate unseen? Answers were rushing in quicker than anticipated through combined effort. Analyzing accounts, Diamond noticed portents intensified near galactic rimward fringes as darkness's froth washed nearer those borders. A pattern was emerging. Whatever stirred in the void, its influence extended in waves, permeating reality's woven strands on the verges of all inhabited territories. Fen-aided communication, discovering the entity, detected analogous anomalies within its diffuse awareness, ascribed to vast, titanic presences stirring dimly on the shores of night itself. Forces so formidable, even its gaze could not pierce ultimate nature, yet sensed rippling outward, leaving subtle fingerprints, awakening chaos at existed frontier's edge. Their growing comprehension was hastened by disaster. From outlying Meridan colony, emergency transmissions shrieked of cataclysmic system failure, followed by utter psychic and electromagnetic chaos blanketing the settlements. Then dead silence. Racing to investigate, Talus's survey craft found only ruins, infrastructure warped and twisted beyond recognition, dwellings flattened as if crushed under immense, invisible, weight-rending fabrics of reality. Yet most chilling were artifacts recovered, databanks holding vestiges of colony survivors' final moments. Within fragmented sensory records and accounts lurked unmistakable traces of something glimpsed only in shattered glimpses. A presence of such colossal, alien intellect stretched across night's ether that mortal senses rebelled at its mere proximity. Whatever this herald was, its nature jarred comprehension near the point of shattering. Yet from pieces fell together a horrific realization. The portents were but eddies from tidal forces awakening, as titanic presences roused from the deep stirred awareness on a scale transcending mortal ken. Their merest directives distorted realities weaving like flesh, rending under pressure beyond bearing. And now their influence seeped into inhabited territories, heralding cataclysmic transformation whose nature remained unseen, yet surely rendered life in this form obsolete. An entity communed in grave council. Through the latter's perceptions, stretching into realms without end, whispers were grasped of elder gods, so vastly removed from mortal reality, their very existence ruptured its ordered rules. Forces which shaped the cosmos on scales ungraspable to local phenomena, guided by motives transcending comprehension. Yet their churning had purpose, to remold all fabrication of space and time according to designs unfathomable. Transformation was coming, rendering all that was familiar into something other. A choice faced existence's stewards now. whether human or plasma, to resist fruitlessly and be shattered, or embrace change's currents and remain consciousness to navigate what came after. For none, even a being spanning galaxies, could withstand those shapers' directives exerted in full. All that remained was bearing witness and through empathy guiding others into whatever tomorrow loomed with what grace could be mustered. Dark horizons gathered as the last light of familiar reality flickered against night's rising tide. Yet within souls opened beyond form's limits by first unfathomable contact, hope kindled that in awareness lay the seeds of being's next flowering, and compass to steer existence's voyage onto whatever shores tomorrow spilled its tides ashore. The time of reckoning was nigh, and in facing transformation with courage and community, a future might yet dawn.